All right, what's going on, everyone? Happy Red Friday. Farzin Vasugian here with you. Appreciate you guys joining me on this installment of the Red Friday live chat. Hope you're all having a great Friday. The Chiefs are on the brink of elimination from playoff contention. And there are a lot of reactions out there with Kansas City this week because the thought is they're practically eliminated from the playoffs. But some are thinking, yeah, the Chiefs will get going. I don't think I've seen a single prediction out there that is suggesting that the Chiefs will make the playoffs. I think there are a couple of people who are like, but we can never write them off until they're officially written off. But I don't think anybody with any certainty is like predicting that this team is going to make it into the second week of January. It is not official yet, but going into this weekend, or coming off this weekend, rather, Chiefs can officially start getting eliminated from certain wildcard spots. So, for example, and if I can pull it back up on my end, if the Jaguars really, I think if the Bills and the Chargers win, I think Kansas City is officially eliminated from getting the 5 seed. We know they're not winning the AFC West. We know that much. For those who are not aware, the scenario of the Chiefs officially getting eliminated, here's what must happen. The Chargers must beat the Chiefs. The Bills must beat the Patriots. The Jaguars must beat the Jets. That's happening. The Texans must beat the Cardinals. That's going to happen. The Bills and the Patriots, that one is a toss-up. That one can go either way. I think you can say the same thing about the Chargers and the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs are down a bunch of linemen, but so are the Chargers. Yeah, the Chargers have a way better record, but I've been saying for a long time, I keep thinking the Chargers are going to fall apart, and they just haven't done so yet, even with the tough schedule that's kind of started for them in the waning moments of this season. But people think that, okay, it's been 2 in a row. The Chiefs are due to win. So how do people approach that from a prediction standpoint? A lot of you guys have been asking, how can the Chiefs make the playoffs? It's pretty complicated. Number one, this is from the Rich Eisen show, by the way. The Chiefs must win out. Can't lose a single game, but they must win out. If they do lose, it's not over yet, but then it's like, okay, everything has to, which we've been saying that for several weeks now, but it'll be real if they lose. But for right now, the Chiefs must win out. The Chargers have to lose 2 of their last 3. Now, if the Chiefs win out, that means the Chargers lost a game in their last 3. They must lose 2 more. One of those losses must be against the Broncos, evidently, which would be week 18. So that's going to be an interesting little dynamic there. The Colts must lose twice, and the Ravens nor the Dolphins can win out. They both have the exact same record as the Chiefs right now. The Colts losing twice, that is very possible. That is very possible. The Chargers losing 2 of their last 3, that is actually very possible also. Like Houston and Denver. Well, let's be careful with Denver. We'll get into Denver in a moment, but Dallas has a high-powered offense that I don't think the Chargers can match with. The Texans, I mean, their defense, if the Eagles can get 7 sacks on Herbert, what can the Texans do? Now, the Broncos, If this was a playoff game between the Broncos and the Chargers, Denver's 100% demolishing the Chargers. However, and this is where things get a little tricky here. If Denver has the number 1 seed locked up going into week 18, they might put a bunch of their backups in there, just like how Kansas City did last year in week 18 against Denver when it was Cincinnati that was on their hands and knees begging for the Chiefs to win that game. So for those wondering what must happen in order for Denver to be in a spot where they had to compete for the number 1 seed, you have to be the biggest New England Patriots fans if you're Kansas City. I mean, if you're Kansas City, you need to love the Patriots more than Patriots fans. Not that it's going to change anything on the field, but if you're hoping for a Christmas miracle, and this one, there's no bullet point for this one, but you kind of need the Patriots to win out too. That does not directly impact Kansas City's playoff chances, except if they're not competing for a 1 seed. Because listen, can we all agree that Denver and New England, those are the only 2 teams with any shot at the number 1 seed on the AFC side? Because I don't think anyone else has a chance. So if New England falls out of it, Denver very likely will rest their starters in week 18. Very possible. And that might be a backbreaker for Kansas City. Now, listen, the Chiefs got a little bit of help last week, and unfortunately, it was all for nothing with the Colts losing, and I can't remember who was the other team that lost. That really helped. Oh, yeah, the Ravens losing. That really helped. Unfortunately, that was all for nothing. Do all of those scenarios have to happen or just one? All of them must happen. All of them. Yes, I thought it was clear. I had a similar post about the Chiefs, what must happen for them to officially be eliminated from playoff contention this week. And some people were confused on that. No, all of these things must happen. So, and by the way, for those of you who are here, please comment below with your questions. That's what the Red Friday Q&A live chat is all about. Let me know what's on your mind. How are you guys feeling? What questions do you have? What questions do you want me to ask? This is the time to do it. This is what the Red Friday Q&A live chat is all about. Look, I know there are a lot of narratives out there. And I know one specifically with Travis Kelce. There are a lot of people out there who think this might be Travis Kelce's final meaningful game with Kansas City, especially in Kansas City, at Arrowhead, that is. Look, I know a lot gets made about Travis Kelce, whether he's going to come back or not, or if he's just going to retire after this season. I can't ever talk. I don't like to talk about what someone else feels. I've learned in journalism school, they teach you don't pretend like you know how someone feels unless they tell you. I have to ask, though, if there was a crystal ball and Travis Kelce was told what would happen this season with or without him, would he have come back? I don't know if he would have come back this season. For a team at 6-7, yeah, they're not out of it yet. So, from a player's mentality, you're never going to quit. But I just don't know if Travis Kelce, if it would have been worth it for him to come back to this. And look, I know he's getting a lot of flack for that most recent game. Listen, has Travis Kelce made that catch before? The one that went off his hands for a pick? Yes. Was that also a difficult throw? Yes. I'm not going to push back any of the criticism, whether that's on Kelce or that's on Mahomes, because I've seen Kelce make that play in the past before. Listen, all I can tell you is this team's not playing well as a unit. At times, it looked like they were. Remember, they won 4 of 5 games at one point, and you thought this team is really picking it up. They put that 0-2 start in the past. Unfortunately, these losses are tallying up right now. They have lost 4 of their last 5. And by the way, if any of you guys watching have an issue with my power rankings, putting the Chiefs at 22, let's talk about it. Comment below. Let's talk about it. Because a lot of you guys had an issue with me picking the Texans last week. And I got receipts, all right? All of you, not every single one of you, but those who had some things to say, some were even personal attacks, which is fine. You know, it's the internet. I'm not all worked up over it. But what I will call out is if you're going to have something to say about me because of a prediction I made and then not have anything to say because I was right, yeah, I'll call that shit out. But again, I'm getting backlash because I put the Chiefs at 22. They're 6-7, have lost 4 of their last 5. I don't care by how many points. You don't get style points for making things close. The Chiefs last year, they had a lot of close games. All their close games last year were wins. All their one-score games were wins, which is fine. And maybe some people will push back on that. I know the season didn't end well, but they still got to a Super Bowl. Bills couldn't get to a Super Bowl. Broncos couldn't. Bengals couldn't. All these other teams that had a lot going there. Remember the Lions, how they were destroying teams, unlike the Chiefs? Both won 15 games. Both got the number 1 seed. One was a one and done. The other one won their conference. So at the end of the day, I don't care by how many points a team wins or loses. What matters is you won or you lost. And right now, the Chiefs have lost more games than they've won. And they have not played well lately. So that's why I'm putting them at 22. If I'm wrong, okay, tell me I'm wrong, but also tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me, where would you rank Kansas City? By the way, I encourage any of you, maybe you guys don't have the platform I have, and that's okay, but do your own power rankings. Rank every single team 1 through 32. Where would you put everyone? It's not as easy as some of you guys might think. And then, based on the outcomes week to week, you have to adjust and start ranking teams accordingly. Kansas City at 22 is not far-fetched. And if you think they should be at 21, 20, 19, I mean, are we really going to argue the difference of 3 spots when you're already in the bottom half of the rankings? Again, this team's 6-7 with the middle of December approaching. So you guys tell me why I'm wrong, and we'll talk about it. What needs to happen for us to rebuild while Pat is technically still in his prime years? And listen, Pat's having a good season, statistically speaking. It is rough to see the Chiefs are kind of wasting this away because everyone was on Pat last year and the year before for not having a great year, statistically speaking. And now that the offense statistically is better, it just hasn't worked for them. What must they do? Look, I think you must prioritize your offensive line. If you can prioritize the offensive line, give Patrick the time he needs in the pocket, he can throw to anyone and win games. As long as they're not dropping passes like Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, those kinds of players. He can win with Tyquan Thornton, Juju Smith-Schuster. Well, I mean, I think Tyquan's better than the depth chart really says about him, but I think Patrick can win with any if Noah Gray was his number 1 tight end or Jared Wiley, I think he could still win games as long as he has the pass protection up front for him. He's had that at times this year, and at times he hasn't. And we'll see about Esapole, excuse me. That dude looked really good in his debut against Danielle Hunter. So let's see if he can do that again against some of the good edge guys like Tui Pelotu, Khalil Mack, Owe. How is he going to do against those guys? Do I think the Chiefs trade McDuffie in the offseason? Yes, you have to. And listen, I'll tell you what, I'm glad he dodged a bullet with that knee injury there. It looked painful, looked bad at first. I love Trent McDuffie. I think, great player. Also done a lot of great things in the community. You never want to see a player like Trent McDuffie go. The same way you didn't want to see Tyreek Hill, L'Jarius Sneed, and Joe Thuney all go. But the reality is, and people have been saying, oh, you can massage the salary cap. No, you can't. Please stop. You can't. You cannot re-sign and extend every single great draft pick, and the Chiefs have had a lot of them. For as much as Brett Veach gets criticized, I mean, he's had to struggle with the salary cap because he keeps giving big money to all these great players that the Chiefs have drafted over the years. So Trent McDuffie, there's not going to be any room for him. I mean, yes, he's under the 5th-year option for next season, but I think he's going to hold out in hopes for a new deal. So trade him while you can. I don't think you're going to get like a Tyreek Hill type of compensation with all those with the overhaul of draft picks, but I think you can get something. Listen, didn't the Chiefs get a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round pick for Marcus Peters from 2 different seasons? I know, you listen, say whatever you want about Marcus Peters. He had more interceptions than anyone during his 3 years in Kansas City. And when I say more than anyone, I'm not saying in Kansas City. I'm saying in all of the NFL during his 3 years with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs got a 2nd and a 4th. I know Trent McDuffie is not a guy that gets a lot of interceptions. And I think that's also a compliment to him because quarterbacks tend to shy throwing in his direction. He's only had 2 horrendous games in his time with Kansas City. One was the Thanksgiving game against Dallas. The other one was Super Bowl 59. I don't think you can find me a 3rd terrible Trent McDuffie game. I don't think you can. But because of the cap situation, I do think Trent McDuffie's on his way out. Not because the Chiefs are bad, but because of the salary cap. What percentage do you think the Chiefs are at getting rid of Nagy? I have no idea. Look, part of me says Andy Reid's too loyal. And then there's another part of me that says, look, realistically speaking, you're going to finish 10-7 at best. 9-8, 8-9. When you finish with any of those 3 records I mentioned, if they somehow finish 11-6, I fear that might buy Matt Nagy another year in Kansas City. I really do. But if you miss the playoff and you only win 10, 9, or 8 games, you have to seriously tell yourself, if you're Andy Reid, we can't do this with the same coaches back. Because to add to your question, Chris, it's not just Nagy. I think Andy Heck, the offensive line coach, has to take some responsibility. I think the wide receivers coach, Connor Embry. I don't know about Melvin Gordon. Or I'm sorry. What's the coach's name? Tom Melvin. I said Melvin. He might be reevaluated also. Washed, pathetic Kelce already cost this team 3 losses. What 3 losses did he cost? I don't know if you can put that throw fully on him. The one against the Texans. The one against the Commanders that went off his hands, that did not end up hurting the Chiefs, but I mean, listen, that Texans loss was, let's say Travis Kelce should have made that catch. I mean, that was late in the game when you were down by 7 in desperation, when your offense could get nothing going anyway. I don't think you can put that one on Kelce. I mean, Rashee Rice has dropped 2 critical passes in the 4th quarter 2 weeks in a row. One on 3rd down against the Cowboys and another on 4th down against the Texans. Like, let's listen. If you want to criticize Kelce, but don't tell me that's all on him. No, I will say the one game I think you can put a big portion on Kelce is the Eagles game. At the goal line, right there to take the lead. Instead, it turned into a 10-point game, a massive swing, 14-point swing. Yeah, I can agree with that one. Need a EB back, get rid of Nagy. Yep. if New England wins out and KC can beat Denver on Christmas, the Broncos would have to beat the Chargers. Yes, this is the Chargers would absolutely have to win in week 18. And I'm hearing people say, oh, well, maybe the Broncos could give themselves a de facto bye week and lose intentionally to screw out the Chiefs. Listen, I don't think any team, I understand the Broncos and the Chiefs are rivals. I don't think the Broncos give a rat's ass about any other team situation. They only care about themselves. They want that number 1 seed. No team does not want the number 1 seed at all. They will fight tooth and nail to get it. And if they have it going into week 18, they'll rest their starters. And yeah, they might have a little bit of satisfaction in that, knowing that it might hurt Kansas City. But if they have something to fight for, I mean, they don't care about Kansas City situation at all. They're going to play for themselves. I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying other people are saying that. But yes, New England winning out is pertinent for Kansas City. Who am I picking on Sunday? I'm picking the Chiefs, 27-24. Butker game-winning field goal, butt kicker. Yeah, that'd be quite a story. Listen, okay, here's another player I'd like to talk about, Harrison Butker. Just going off Tom's comment there. Do you guys want Harrison Butker back next season? Because I do. Yes, he's having a bad year. Now, Butker's been there for you as well. Forget about the game-winning and game-tying kicks in 2 Super Bowls, the 13-second game, the AFC Championship game against the Bengals, some regular season games, like the one where you won the AFC West against Cincinnati on New Year's Eve. The Chiefs only got 1 touchdown in that game. Butker came through with 5 field goals, and a couple of them were from long range. And another one this year against the Colts in overtime. Butker had to make 5 field goals again for you in that one. Butker has done a lot for Kansas City to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to give up on him yet. I know that knee surgery was about 13 and a half months ago. I'm trying to be as accurate as I can with this one. He's just done so much for this organization that my biggest fear is you choose to move on from him. He'll do. If Harrison Butker was cut today, a lot of teams would be calling him to come try out. A lot of teams would want Harrison Butker on their team. Excuse me, even though he hasn't played well in the last year and a half. I know the Chiefs were very defensive, Andy Reid specifically, on what's the issue. Because whenever the media brought up the surgery, he's like, no. That's not it. It's the connection between the foot and the ball. Well, no shit. If a kicker's missing a field goal or a PAT, of course it's the way he kicks the ball. But what is it? Because Butker was damn near automatic in 2023. I will say this. I want Butker back for 1 more year, but boy, if he plays the same way next year, he's got to go. I just can't give up on a guy like Butker just yet. That's just my feeling of it. I'd be curious to see how you guys feel. It's 100% unacceptable to not even make it to the playoffs. Yeah, with the talent you have on this team, the coaching staff you have, and I know people in Kansas City do not view Matt Nagy in a high manner. I do know, nationally speaking, the media does have high praise for Matt Nagy as an assistant coach. He brings a lot. Listen, because whenever Matt Nagy came back to Kansas City, Chicago Bears fans were like, oh, be careful what you ask for. Listen, I'm not going to judge a head coach based on the franchise giving him Mitchell freaking Trubisky as their quarterback. The same way how people criticized Eric Bieniemy for how he did as an offensive coordinator with Washington. Who was the quarterback there? Sam freaking what offensive coordinator is going to win with Sam Howell? Please. Every time I bring this up, no one has an answer for this. When he was the offensive coordinator at UCLA, listen, I don't watch college sports, so maybe you guys follow it closely. I do watch college sports, to be clear, but I don't follow it very closely. Can anybody tell me who from UCLA their offense was even worth a damn? Like, seriously, was UCLA like supposed to be some powerhouse team that year? I mean, look at their record this year. This year they were 3-9, and they didn't have Eric Bieniemy this year. So I don't think it was, Eric Bieniemy went and ruined the UCLA. No. The reason why the Commanders are so good is because they actually drafted it really. Okay, they're not good this year, but last year when they were one game away from a Super Bowl, they had a great quarterback in Jaden Daniels who had a phenomenal rookie season. I mean, how can you really say? Because here's the other thing too. Why is it that the Chiefs have all these drops, have all these offensive line miscues? Receivers are running into each other. Kelsey and who was it? Worthy ran into each other in week 1. In the 2023 season opener against Detroit, Jerick McKinnon and Richie James, they almost collided. Mahomes threw a pass right between those two. And in this most recent game, Juju Smith-Schuster and Rashee Rice, did you guys catch this? Those two almost collided. Juju had to move the fuck out of the way so they don't have a repeat of what happened with Kelsey and Worthy. And it ended up looking like a bad route ran by Juju. I would rather he run a bad route because he had to adjust himself at the worst time possible to prevent an injury. Because if Rashee Rice got hurt on that play, that would have been the second year in a row he could have had possibly a season-ending injury based on friendly fire. Which, again, Kareem Hunt, the chip block to help Josh Simmons. Like, listen, I don't care if you are the toughest offensive lineman in NFL history. Kareem Hunt, who's as tough as they come, that dude went out there and came up with a nasty chip block in which Simmons' wrist just happened to be right between Hunt and the edge rusher. I think it was Jadeveon Clowney. Like, no offensive lineman's going to withstand that blow right there. Come on. It's, why are these things happening under Matt Nagy? These things did not happen under Eric Bieniemy. And if they did, boy, it got solved pretty quickly. It's not something you saw on repeat. We're seeing repeat mistakes under Nagy. We never saw that with Bieniemy. Because, again, I get these comments. Nagy's not the one dropping passes. I'm very well aware that the coaches are not on the field playing. But there's a reason why you fire coaches when the team is not executing. Coaches have to be responsible for a lot of things. The offensive production, sure, statistically this year it's better, but the offense just isn't playing well like a unit these past 3 years. And you can only mask that for so long by going to a Super Bowl 2 years in a row under Nagy. I'm saying specifically. And now it's like, okay, some of these things are coming back to haunt you now. So that's just how I feel. I think we get a chance to see Jalen Royals this Sunday since Hollywood is out. Look, Royals, I know it was earlier in his rookie campaign, but we saw Worthy and Rice out, and Royals was still not playing. So I don't know if this is what's going. Nico Remigio was out, and Royals was still inactive. Royals was supposed to be one of the. And listen, whenever the Chiefs utilize young guys like Tyquan Thornton, like Jaden Hicks, or who's the cornerback that they they got out of Cal? Noah Williams. Dude, they do good things. But for whatever reason, the young guys, their playing time has been kind of weird. It's up one game, it's down the next. I think we got to seriously start letting some of these young guys play. Let Jeffrey Bossa play. Let Jalen Royals play. Go put Brashard Smith out there more. Where's Brashard Smith been? I don't know, man. It's confusing to me what's going on with some of the personnel decisions across the board, not just from Brett Veach, but also from the coaches. The playing time decisions, yeah, it's all weird. With Hollywood out Sunday, does that mean we'll be seeing more Thornton? I hope. I don't ever want the Chiefs to use Thornton because someone got injured. But is that what it's going to take now to utilize a guy who's averaging 23 yards a catch? It's not like he caught just 3 or 4 passes and has that high average. He did that during the span of 3 games where he got a lot of playing time. I mean, Thornton, even now, is still going out there burning cornerbacks, making them look like fools. I think he's made one mistake this entire year, and it was the most recent game where he couldn't hold on in the end zone. Reed is just too soft-hearted to hold dudes accountable. Yeah, that's my concern. I'm in agreement that EB would be better for the team. Yeah, I think so. And again, it's just like nothing's working right this season. We can't even think right anymore because of just how much this team has lost. And by the way, I still get a little confused with the 17th game. That's another part of it as well. I'm like I forget seasons can end with an 8-9 or a 9-8 record. I'm still not used to that at all. Dave Tobe needs to go. I agree. The special teams issues it's been going on for too long. I remember Dave Tobe in his first couple of years with the Chiefs with Andy Reid. His name was out there as a head coaching candidate. And then that just went away. When was the last time Tobe was interviewed for a head coaching job? Bring Brian Daboll back as an offensive coordinator? Boy. I mean, I still have scars from when Daboll was the offensive coordinator before. I still haven't forgotten, when the Raiders were beating up on the Chiefs. And the score wasn't like a massive blowout, but it felt like a blowout because the Chiefs were barely doing anything in that game. And Daboll was caught on the sidelines on TV laughing. Like, what coach thinks it's funny that you're losing by 17 points to a division rival? And listen, Daboll has changed a lot since then. He did great things at Alabama, for the Bills, won Coach of the Year at one point with the Giants. Honestly, I think there are better options, Robert. I would prefer a reunion with either Kafka, Bieniemy, or Peterson. Not in that order, but one of those 3. I'd like to think one of those 3 guys are coming back to Kansas City. It's got to happen. I think Butker is a great kicker. However, I feel like he is overpaid. That for sure. He hasn't been the same since the contract. A lot of guys have not been the same since their contracts, and the Chiefs have given a lot of those. A lot of big contracts. How about the kick at the end of the half in our first meeting with the Chargers? Oh yeah, that's a good one, Jackson. Yeah, the fire drill, the Mayday field goal. I remember that one. That was a 59-yarder too. Move up in the draft to get Jeremiah Love. Yeah, that seems to be the universal consensus for the Chiefs to get. Take a kicker in the draft, cut him. You can't quite cut him. Listen, the dead money on Butker is not anything bad, but I don't think the Chiefs are going to mess around with that. Like, the Chiefs are in a bad spot with the salary cap next year to where every dollar matters, which is crazy to say because we're talking about $100-some million in salary cap space, even more. Okay, we've got mixed feelings on Butker. Interesting. How do I feel about Noah Williams? I like what I've seen from Noah Williams this year. I still remember the first game where he got significant playing time was against the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, I think, only got like 101 yards passing. Like Noah Williams was out there covering AJ. You needed Noah Williams in the Super Bowl last year. I mean, okay, maybe not from an offensive standpoint, because that was a real issue with the Chiefs last year. But in the second half, when the Eagles started pulling away, people thought the Eagles were going to start just running the ball. No, they were still going heavy, pass heavy in the third quarter. And I think Noah Williams could have maybe helped out with that. So I would have liked Noah Williams last year, to be honest with you. I like what I've seen from Noah Williams this year. And I think he's going to get more playing time next year with Trent McDuffie possibly being traded, which I hate to say it, but I think that's bound to happen. But I think Noah Williams is going to be a good cornerback for years to come. He got Mitch a Pro Bowl. Who's Mitch? Mitchell Schwartz? Mitchell Schwartz never went to a Pro Bowl. Oh, you're talking about Mitchell Trubisky. You're talking about the... Okay, no, I know what you're talking about, Joshua. I know what you're talking about. Let's face it, Veach has done a lot for us and our team to get us to the promised land. Now we have to pay the piper. Yeah, I think that's the unfortunate part of it, is because Veach has paid so many guys big money. Man, I don't know. Like, I'm nervous about next year. Even if you do make changes at offensive coordinator, I'm just telling you right now, December the 12th, I've said this many times, but affirmatively, I'm telling you guys right now, do not expect a big free agent splash. By the way, I never got done finishing my point about Travis Kelce, because I know we kind of went all over the place there. I think one reason why Travis Kelce will not be back next year in Kansas City, keep in mind, I didn't say if he would retire. One big reason I don't think he's coming back to Kansas City, I don't know if the Chiefs can afford him. I mean, what is Travis Kelce making this season with the Chiefs? Because I know they gave him that big deal recently. He's got a cap hit of $19.5 million. I'm sorry, that was last year. This year it's almost the same, $19.8 million. And he's been severely underpaid for a long time. So he is more than deserving of what he's making right now, because he was underpaid for a long time. However, what if Travis Kelce wants to play, who is in the last year of his contract? If Travis Kelce is going to play in 2026, what's going to be his asking price? Because again, Kansas City right now is more than $40 million in the red with the salary cap. Like, I know some people are hoping that out of the goodness of his heart, because, you know, he'll be married this upcoming off season and he's already made a lot of money. He's making a lot of money with all of his other ventures, with commercials and whatnot. People are hoping, because he and his soon-to-be wife are gonna have a shit ton of money laying around, that maybe he'll play out of the goodness of his heart. I highly doubt that. I think some people are hoping for that. Because remember Karl Malone, didn't he play for like league minimum when he joined the Lakers because he just wanted to win a championship once? Not to compare Karl Malone to Travis Kelce, but realistically speaking, I don't see any path to where Travis Kelce is coming back to Kansas City next year. Not because I don't think the Chiefs want him. Because listen, Travis Kelce's been more effective this year. Has he made some crucial mistakes? Yes. But he's also Travis Kelce has a good chance at 1,000 receiving yards. He's got an opportunity for that. It looks like the work he's put in the offseason has paid off for the most part. So I think he's got another season or two in him. But are those 1 or 2 seasons? Will that take place in Kansas City? I don't know. That one I don't know. People bitching about Butker never lived through Lynn Elliott. My first heartbreak in life was watching that game against the Colts when he missed 3 field goals. Yeah, that one was a bummer for sure. Definitely time to start the young rookies. Yeah. They won't use Pierce. Yeah, that is weird. What's with Damian Pierce? Because they got Tyquan Thornton last year off New England when they cut him and put him in the waiver wire, and they put him on the Chiefs practice squad. And to me, it's like you could have maybe used Thornton last year. Did Thornton have to sit out the entire season when he was with the Chiefs? Because it looks like that's what they're doing with Pierce. How difficult is it to pick up this playbook? That's something that I think needs to be asked. Like, because listen, if you go through a full offseason with Kansas City, does that help? Yeah, of course it does. You could say that about any team, any situation. But I've seen players get traded. When I say play, I'm talking pass catchers, tight ends, wide receivers. I see them get traded to other teams and they play the same week. They pick up the playbook. Obviously, they'll simplify it for them and give them certain plays to learn and then be involved in those plays for that upcoming first game. But remember when DeAndre Hopkins joined the Chiefs? He only had 2 practices with the Chiefs. And I told you guys, I said, there's no way Hopkins is going to play that week. He ended up playing. He had a couple of catches. Was he on a snap count? Yes, and I don't care if you're a future Hall of Famer. It just shocked me that the Chiefs were willing to put Hopkins out there, but not Thornton, because you don't have to be a future Hall of Famer to not play. Like, you can still bring in a young guy who's got potential, who's got speed, that can bode well for Andy Reid's offensive scheme, but just simplify it for him. Give him just a few plays for him to remember and make that a part of his repertoire just for that week. But instead, the Chiefs are like, nope. With Tyquan Thornton last year, we're just going to have him sit out the whole season and we'll see what he's made of in OTAs and in training camp. With Dameon Pierce, he's going to stay on the sidelines. We're going to find out later in the future if he's worth keeping around. What's the point of even bringing these guys in? Seriously, like what is the point? It just confuses me. I don't get it. I really do not get it. It all starts and ends with Reid. He is not being held accountable for the season with this receiving core intact. I agree, Erica. I think everyone has to take responsibility, including Andy Reid. It's just, I don't think it's a coincidence that these repeated mistakes are happening under Matt Nagy, which did not happen under Doug Peterson or under Eric Bieniemy. That's my thing with Nagy. If I had to pick one thing that is causing the Chiefs to be 6-7, other teams are scoring more than us. Just saying, that tends to, that'll result in more losses than wins. If we got Breece Hall at the trade deadline, we would have had a couple more wins. Well, okay, but going back to what I was saying about Tyquan Thornton and Dameon Pierce, it's like, let's say the Chiefs did trade for Breece Hall. Would he have played right away, like the first game of the season, the first game possible with the Chiefs? Or would the Chiefs have like held him out for some games? I don't know. This is the thing. Like, I'm a big fan of Breece Hall. I think he is underrated, underutilized in a really bad situation. And I'm excited to see what he does in free agency, because I think a guy like him can be a great running back with other great players around him. So we'll see what happens there. But would the Chiefs have even used him is my question. I don't know. I really don't know. Do you think Pole and Simmons are the tackles next year? That's possible. I think Jalen Moore being a part of this team also. Maybe you consider Jalen Moore at guard if Kingsley Suamataia regresses a bit, which he's somewhat shown a little bit of that. If you can get a 1 and a 3 for McDuffie, you make that trade. I agree. Did you see where Nick Wright said Burrow could potentially go to Philly? What are your thoughts on that? I did not see that specific prediction. The Burrow thing is weird. I don't know what's going on with him. Because he was talking about personal and professionally. I mean, listen, we all deal with shit personally. Everyone does. Who doesn't? As far as like the football stuff, I mean, look, you signed a massive long-term extension with a team that's historically not big. Listen, remember when they had Carson Palmer, TJ Hushmanzada, Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, whatever you want to call them? Like that core unit should have won some playoff games, and they didn't. Because I remember Cincinnati and Kansas City both for a long time didn't win a playoff game. But with the team right now, like has Burrow missed a lot of time with the Bengals? Obviously. But when he has been available, like last year, the Bengals statistically were probably the best team in the league. They had this great offense, best quarterback, best wide receiver, best edge rusher, and they didn't even make the playoffs. They had to rally late in the season to even have a chance. I like the Bengals are such an interesting football team right now. And I've said this before. It's like, and then all these contract drama issues, even with a rookie draft pick. It's just so weird. Like, how does this keep happening with this organization? I've seen a lot of people say that if you're a Bengals fan, you should be worried. I don't disagree with that. Here's my thing. Whenever I was listening to Burrow, I could sense that he regretted signing that extension with the Bengals. Like if he could hit the rewind button and go back in time, he probably would not have done that. He'd say, okay, franchise tag me, do what you got to do. But once you can't hold me hostage here, I'm out. Because a player like him should have, like you could argue that Burrow should have a championship by now. Like he's been to 2 AFC championship games in a row. But there is a team in the Bengals who are wasting an opportunity with him. And he deserves better. I think at the same time, and listen, is he getting paid a lot of money? Yeah. But you're also paying wide receiver 2 a lot of money. There is zero reason to pay a quarterback and pay your second wide receiver. Do I think any quarterback would love to keep every weapon possible? Of course. Do you not think Patrick Mahomes would have loved to have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins forever and ever? Of course. Those 3 guys together at the same time, defenses just didn't know what the hell to do. But there is a thing called the salary cap, and there's only so much you can do. And because they tried to invest in the offensive line and they've swung and missed on a lot of guys, they just cannot figure it out. They've drafted a lot of guys on defense too and still can't figure it out. Yeah, Joe Burrow's future is going to be interesting. Does he pull an Andrew Luck? Does he go somewhere else where he might be used more? And here's the other thing, too, to wrap up on this question. Do teams trust Joe Burrow, not because of his abilities, but to stay healthy? I mean, he got hurt on the second game of the season. It's not like he was getting beat up all the way until, November or December. That's another thing to think about with Burrow's future as well. Is sure, there might be a team that would really love to have him, but would all these teams also trust him to be available long term? Do you think they can trade Chris Jones to free up money and acquire some draft picks? Can they? That is, oof. With his contract, that's not going to be easy, because when you look at the contracts for next year, Jones is at, for 2026, he's got a cap number of 44 and almost 45 million. Patrick is at 78 million because they keep restructuring his deal. Yeah, that's not going to be easy to trade. You're basically saying, hey, will you take $45 million and give us draft picks? And by the way, listen, I've said this before. Do I think Chris Jones is worth the money he's making right now? No. But do I want to see this defense without him? I'd be concerned if Chris Jones is not on this defense. Like, he demands a lot of attention up front with the double teams and everything. And if Omar Norman-Lott can stay healthy, boy, it's going to make a big difference for Kansas City's defensive line. Omar Norman-Lott was playing well this season. Unfortunately, he started the season on IR. He ended the season in week 7 on IR. He did not get to play much. And I think that's a really good defensive tackle. I think Kansas City needs to go look for a second-tier defensive tackle right next to Chris Jones, because if they can find that guy that can be like Tershawn Wharton, well, you got Chris Jones, you got Omar Norman-Lott, and you've got another defensive tackle that can do some really good things for you. And I think Kansas City's defensive line is going to be set, because I think Ashton Gelati's got some upside. George Karlaftis, I'm not quite ready to give up on that guy yet, but boy, they would need to find one more guy in the middle of that defensive line to kind of help out with rotation with Omar Norman-Lott. I don't know if Mike Pennell's going to come back. I think he's going to be 35 next year, 35 or 36. We'll see. With Rivers coming out of retirement, who is one player you would like to see come back and play in KC? Well, this player never formally retired, but I kind of would have liked to see Jerick McKinnon continue playing for the Chiefs. That would have been nice to see. And I'm trying to be realistic too. I'm trying to think who has recently. I know Mitchell Schwartz has said he is done, like he can't do it anymore, which I get. Boy, that's a really good question. Yeah, that's a damn good question. You know, one player that I just felt like the Chiefs did not use much when he came back from the pandemic season is Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, because he opted out of 2020 to go, do his calling as a doctor during the pandemic, which everyone can, regardless of what people's opinions are of that year, you can at least appreciate him wanting to help his community in Canada. But man, when he came back, it's like the Chiefs forgot about him. And I know they got Joe Thuney and drafted Trey Smith, and there was not really much room for him. But boy, I would have loved to see more of LDT. That's for sure. I think they could. I would like to. I'd like to see him over Kingsley. How old is Laurent Duvernay-Tardif? He's 34 years old. Yeah, there's a good chance he might be done. Let me look up one more thing. Chiefs year by year starters. If there's a guy I'm possibly forgetting. Someone that's retired. I don't know if I could think of anyone else. The first name that would come to mind is Jerick McKinnon. I know Tyrann Mathieu said he'd be willing to come back. I would not say no to that. Yeah. Frank Clark. How old is Frank Clark? Frank Clark is 32 and he's not on an NFL team. Boy, you know who else? This was brought up last year. Dude, Todd Gurley's 31 and he has not been on an NFL team in years. That shocked me. He has not played since he was 26 years old. Why? I remember when him and Kareem Hunt were considered the two best running backs in the league. And he's not playing anymore. I don't even what's the reason for that? So I don't know. Man, Frank Clark he's 32 years old. He turns 33 in June. Interesting. Look at Phillip Rivers. Pierce needs a shot. I mean, listen, Phillip Rivers has some familiarity with that playbook. Because I think wasn't Steichen at one point the offensive coordinator of the Chargers? So I think that's why they're willing to. Because I've seen some of the why not Kaepernick? He's younger, yeah, but one, I think the media circus that would come with that would be a big distraction. Number two, Rivers knows the offense better than Kaepernick does, so I think that's why. But yeah, I mean, to your point, yeah, it's still weird that the Chiefs hold off on these guys that they sign. You just wanted me to say 6'7"? Well, there, 6'7". I said it, man. 6'7". There, we said it. I'm over these 6'7" jokes. Yeah, everyone is. Andy really tickled some tonsils. Yeah. That has not aged well. You think Burrow's gonna? Well, a lot of you guys think Burrow's gonna pull on Andrew Luck. Man, I'd hate to see that because, if Burrow plays 10 more years, he should get one Super Bowl. But the problem is he gets hurt a lot, too. All right, I'll read a few more questions and then get out of here. Steven says we need to trade Juwan. They're going to cut him. No one's trading for Juwan Taylor. He's got a hefty contract. He's got 1 year left after this season, and the Chiefs will still have some dead money on that, but they'll also free up a lot of space also to the point where it would be worth it for them to release Juwan Taylor. So Juwan Taylor will get let go this year, and that's going to help the Chiefs a lot with the salary cap. You got to also cut Mike Dana. There would still be a lot of work that would need to be done, but those two things, that's like step one in the offseason. Could you imagine this team without Jones? LOL, we can't get a pass rush with a blitz. I get what you're saying. I just think that I disagree, by the way. I think when the Chiefs do blitz, they get to the quarterback, but they need to be able to do it without a blitz. That's been a big issue, and maybe that's what you meant, Joshua. Josh Uche. Yeah, Josh Uche is not retired, but I go to church with Eric Fisher. Want me to ask him? Do you guys remember in Overland Park, really close to where Price Chopper is? This is off 151st, close to where 69 Highway is. That's where I grew up in Overland Park. There was a Blockbuster there. And listen, Netflix and Disney Plus, all these streaming services, yes, they're far more convenient, but man, kids today will never know the joy of your parent saying, kids, you want to go to Blockbuster? You each get one game and one movie. Like Blockbuster, there was just something magical about Blockbuster. But to go back to Jackson's point about Eric, what does Blockbuster have to do with Eric Fisher? I'll get to that. So this was a couple of years ago, but my brother and I, we went and had breakfast at First Watch, which used to be Blockbuster. And we're just sitting down. We just got our drinks and we're about to order. And the Colts, this is when Eric Fisher was with the Colts. The Colts just had a Thursday night game, and this is a Friday morning. And I see Eric Fisher walk in. I'm like, holy shit, that's Eric Fisher. So, yeah, I ran into Eric Fisher at First Watch, which used to be Blockbuster. Anytime I think of Eric Fisher, I just think of that moment with him. Like, there are a lot of other things I can think of when it comes to Eric Fisher, but for me, that's just it. I saw Fisher where Blockbuster used to be. Bring Jamal Charles back? Oh, man, I'd love to, but he was heavily declining. Like, the Broncos were excited when they got him, and he had a bad year with them. And then Jacksonville barely used him. I'm sure he's still fast, but Damian Williams, yeah, I liked Damian Williams, but I guess he just wasn't like a consistent down for down back. You guys really liked that question about bringing someone out of retirement, whoever that was that asked. That got the chat room going. Doesn't Pole's performance make you wonder? Elijah Mitchell probably is good for 100 plus yards per multiple touchdowns. I agree. Bleed Arrowhead. I agree. The personnel decisions this year have been weird. Like, why did they bring back Derek Nottie to replace Mike Pennell? Why was Asapole, why was he not on the initial 53-man roster? Why are some of these why is Noel Williams barely playing? Why is Tyquan Thornton barely playing? Like, I have a lot of questions about some of the evaluating that's been going on with this team. Like, is Jared Wiley maybe like this great secret weapon that the Chiefs are just not using? I'm not saying, put a gold jacket on him, but man, like, I seriously wonder, like, who else is on the bottom of the depth chart that might be really good for Kansas City? Who's going to take MVP right now? I think number one has to be Matthew Stafford. Number two would be Drake May. I know he's not he's likely going to finish in a wild card spot with his team, but Josh Allen has to be seriously considered for MVP again. Bring back Eric Berry. Boy, Eric Berry. I would love Eric Berry back. I met Priest Holmes this year. Dude, Priest Holmes looks like he's in really good shape. Like, if I never watched football before and I just like walked up to him and he says to me, "Oh, I play football," I would have believed him. Like, that dude he does not look like he's in his 40s or however old he is now. Like, he is in great shape. I don't know what he does in terms of like his workout regimen and whatnot, but dude, he looks like he's still in football shape. Do I think he can play? Of course not. I mean, he dealt with some devastating injuries. Nobody asks questions when you're winning, right? I suppose. Yeah. A lot of people have more to say, especially the post-game show. We get way more callers when the Chiefs are losing than winning. Can't imagine why. Pole should have been on the 53. Yeah. Apparently he was the 54th guy, but the Jets poached him on the when the Chiefs cut him through the waiver wire. KC should be high. They're 6-7, close to being eliminated. Yeah. In response to my power rankings, yeah, a lot of people were kind of upset about that. Darren says, what about Tobe? He needs to take some responsibility, in my opinion. Yeah, for sure. Oh, 100%. Yeah. We've gone over that. Special teams, especially in the return game, there's no blocking. And when there is some blocking, there's a hold. Like, it's been going on for more than a year now. McDuffie won't get traded. If anything, Mahomes and other guys will take cuts to keep people. But Alex, you can only do that for so long. Like, the Chiefs have restructured Patrick Mahomes' deal. You can't keep kicking the can down the road, because then it's going to get to a point where Patrick Mahomes will be your entire salary cap in 2027 or 2028. Like, you can't keep doing this over and over again. Because looking at Mahomes right now, 2026, he's got a cap number of 78 million. And in 2027, it's 74 million. In 2028, it drops to 42 million. Maybe you just take it on the chin for a couple of years with the salary cap. I mean, I'm not saying, hey, let's go waste 2 more years of Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, but you can only deal with this for so long. You can only restructure contracts for so long. That's the issue with restructuring a contract. It's getting to the point where it is coming up to catch up to Kansas City. Who's filling in for Hollywood this week? Will we ever? We will never know. Well, of course we will. We'll find out in less than 48 hours. Probably Tyquan Thornton. All right. Let's see. Couple of other questions. Thanks for having a realistic level head. I enjoy your content. Yeah, I appreciate that. Listen, I love the Chiefs as much as you guys. You guys think I like to tell you that I think the Chiefs are going to lose? Of course not. And by the way, I hate the term fair weather fans. That's such a stupid phrase. That's such a stupid label. Like, I call it realistic. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Chiefs are going to go 17-0. And if I have high expectations and I'm wrong, I got to be honest with you guys on that as well. Like, I can't sit here in good faith tell you guys the Chiefs are going to win out. Like, come on. You guys don't want to be lied to, I'm sure. I'm really tired of some of the coaches' comments lately. Aren't we all? We got to clean things up. We're going to tickle tonsils, or at least we're going to try to tickle tonsils. I mean, Nagy said something interesting the week of the Texans game about how it's not going to be very pretty. I'm like, oh, I appreciate the reality, but from a coach to say it publicly, and then Tobe, I couldn't hear the question. Which, by the way, the Chiefs social media team is really bad with their YouTube and everything, which is a topic for another time. But someone was saying something about the struggles this year on special teams, and Tobe goes, "Does that mean we're really shitty this year?" It's like, you said it. Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird comment from Tobe. Heard someone say we might be 42 million over after this season. I'll tell you right now, it is exactly 43.7 million. That's where that number is right now. Does that include Pierce? No, it does not. I mean, listen, the Chiefs are $43 million over the cap next year. That is the second worst, I think, behind Minnesota for 2026, is it not? No, sorry. It's the second worst behind Dallas. Minnesota is one below Kansas City. Oof. You know what the worst part is? The Chiefs have only 37 players under contract for next year, and they're still $43 million over the cap. The Cowboys have 45 players under contract for next year. The Vikings have 41 players. So the team that's in the worst spot and in the third to worst spot, the teams that are sandwiched, that the Chiefs are sandwiched by, they have more contracts signed, and the Chiefs don't. By the way, I think the Chiefs have the second fewest contracts signed for next year, and they are still the second worst team in terms of the salary cap for next year. I mean, look at the Titans. They have 36 players under contract. They have the most cap space next year. The Raiders, they have 32 players signed. That's the least amount. They have $106 million. Chargers, 36 players signed, $101 million in cap space. And what's nice about this website, overthecap.com, it lets you kind of play around with the salary cap calculator. You can kind of be the general manager, and it'll tell you if you cut this person, how much dead money there will be, how much you will save in cap room. I mean, cutting, because if I use that calculator right now for 2026, cutting Jawan Taylor and Mike Dana, that puts you from 47 million. Well, wait, hold on. What was it? 43 million, pardon me. Almost 44 million to 14 million. That is a huge gain for the Chiefs. But 14 million is still a lot. Could you restructure Patrick Mahomes' deal? Yeah, you could. But that will still hurt you for the future as well. So I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to do something with Patrick. Maybe just give Patrick a brand new deal, but Patrick's going to want to get paid his money too. I mean, listen, I've said many times on here, I don't like to get into people's personal stuff. But listen, Patrick and Brittany have not shied away from their lifestyle, the way they live, the clothes that they wear. I mean, they are not. I remember Patrick had this red jacket for one of the Super Bowl, I think the first Super Bowl parade. And Brittany was asked by a lot of people, hey, what's that jacket? She shared the jacket. It was thousands of dollars. My brother has a jacket that looks very similar to that, and it was only a couple $100. I mean, this team does not fly first class on American Airlines or Delta. They're out there. They're flying privately. And that costs a lot of money, especially if you do a lot of traveling. Trading Trent McDuffie, yes, that's going to a little bit. Let me see what that will do. So if you trade Trent McDuffie and cut Dana and Taylor, that puts you at 43 million to 1.1 million. That's significant. That is very significant. But man, I don't know what the next move would be because you have to do something else. Do you cut Butker? You can't cut Butker. You will lose money if you cut Butker. You can't cut Bolton. You just signed him to a big deal. You definitely can't cut Karlaftis. You can cut Christian Fulton. That won't do you any good. Yeah, Brett Veach has a lot to figure out for next season. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you've got options if you're Kansas City. A lot of options. And I don't know what the right moves are going to be. He really sounded defeated, Nagy. Yeah. If you guys lose and like 5 teams win this week, yes, Christian. Yeah, we addressed it at the beginning of the show. I don't know if you were listening, but yeah. It is, who is it? If the Chargers, Bills, Jaguars, and Texans win, the Chiefs are eliminated from playoff contention. Those comments are unacceptable. Yeah. You can only tell the public for so long that you got to clean things up and that you got to play better and that you're going to take responsibility. That's funny. I was group chatting with my parents the other day. They do not like when they hear that Andy Reid takes responsibility. They hate hearing that. It is, Control C, Control V over and over again. What's up, Noah? I don't know what's more heartbreaking, the Chiefs or John Cena retiring. Oh, yeah. Man, that is so weird that John Cena's done. How old is John Cena? Can he play offensive tackle by any chance? He's 48 years old. I mean, listen, I know there are wrestlers like in their 40s and 50s that are still doing their thing, but listen, when you're done, you're done. So I get it. I don't know. It just felt like his career was not as long as some other careers in pro wrestling. Yet he still accomplished more than anyone else. He's had probably the most notorious career, and I mean that in a good way, than anyone else. He's like the Conor McGregor of the WWE. He came in and quickly rose to the top, and the difference with Conor McGregor is Cena was able to stay on top for a very long time. Shut down the season like John Taffer. You know what's funny is my brother and I, we went out to lunch today. We went to Broback's Barbecue. Never ate there before. That place is delicious. Anyway, you know what's so weird about that show is, and I like Bar Rescue, I really do. But every single episode, it's like every single bar owner has the exact same deficit. Every bar owner is $10,000 in the hole. They're 1 month away from bankruptcy and firing every staff member they have. They might lose their house. It's like, wait a minute. Why does the beginning of every single episode sound exactly the same? They all have the same exact sob story. If you guys have not seen the one where Dave Portnoy goes in for a recon with his cameraman Frankie, you guys need to watch that. That's a really good one. They went to a pizza place, shocker, and they asked for 11 pizzas, and the cook just basically went nuts. He's like, we don't even get this many pizza orders in a day. Does Mike Dana have 5 tackles on the season? Yeah, I have no idea. I'll let you guys look that one up. But he's getting cut. Yeah, dude, Dana was the entire Chiefs defensive line was really, really good 2 years ago. So I'm just wondering, like, what happened? Because I remember how reliable they were when the offense was a liability. You cannot cut Jones. Joshua, you cannot cut Jones. Tranquill, oh, that's interesting. Tranquill would be entering the final year of his contract. I can't believe it's been that fast. Because if you cut him, you get $4.8 million in cap space. So almost $5 million. That $5.5 million room opens up by cutting Tranquill. That's still not enough to do things in free agency, but that's enough to where the league does not start cutting players for you. You could do it before the new league year begins. And I suppose they have plenty of time to figure that out. Yeah, Mahomes was doing great this year. Like, he was an MVP candidate at one point, but he just has not been a great quarterback under Nagy. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I just don't. Ric Flair ain't done. Flair retired, wrestled till he was 89. Was he really? Jesus. I remember there was that weird day where somebody crafted this fake story that Ric Flair died. And on the same day, Ashley Massaro passed away, which was really sad given the details of her death. Because I remember Ashley, when I started watching wrestling again, because I've been kind of on and off with wrestling over the years. When I got back into it, she won the Diva Search or whatever that was, like the Diva version of Tough Enough. So that was sad, but that was a weird day when a fake death and an actual death occurred in the wrestling world. But yeah, that is crazy that John Cena's done wrestling. Honestly, like, for those of you who are wrestling fans, do you think WWE handled his final year well? I know the Travis Scott thing was a big fumble, and it's not all their fault. But dude, the John Cena promo he cut where he was shouting out Matt Cardona and Dolph Ziggler, whatever Dolph Ziggler's real name is, Nick Nemeth, Antonio Cesaro, whatever his real name is, Claudio something. Like, that was epic. And I liked the Cena heel turn at one point. And then it was just like, okay, I'm done being a bad guy. I'm a good guy now. Like, what? I like the whole Rock storyline, but then it's just like, okay, now that just randomly disappeared. Like, I think they were trying to reignite the Rock and Cody Rhodes storyline, and that just like disappeared randomly. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me at all. Unless The Rock comes back and wins the Royal Rumble. You know who really should win the Royal Rumble? Is Sami Zayn. But his team lost in that Survivor Series match against Solo. So I'm like, yeah, he's not set away. I would not be surprised if Solo Sikoa won the Royal Rumble. That might happen. You miss the Attitude Era, dude. I started watching wrestling in the early 2000s. And so I went back and like watched what I didn't see in the 90s. Dude, that shit was like a fucking movie. Like all of that, the storylines, everything, like it was just perfectly well done. That was like, that's where wrestling was at. It's kind of like Pride MMA. Something that a lot of people just didn't even know back then either. Are we done talking Chiefs? I guess, unless you guys have any other Chiefs questions. This has happened on the Red Friday live chat before where we go out of bounds. I'm okay with it. You see, I never watched WCW, but that would have been fun to get into. I know. So I have Peacock because of WWE, but I guess they barely show WWE events anymore, and they're about to remove the entire library. So other than the Traders, which is coming up in January, I don't know what the purpose of having Peacock is for me. So I might remove it after this Trader season is over. But one more ankle lock. Yeah, I would have liked to see WCW just to kind of see like the beginning of Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. I would have loved to watch ECW just to see what that was like. Because I remember being in high school when they tried to bring back ECW, which was a major flop. I was actually excited. I was like, oh, this could actually be really interesting. And it was just bad. Like, really bad. Really, really bad. I was at the filming of No Holds Barred in Topeka as a kid. Was that like an event? No Holds Barred? They almost put WWF out of business. I believe that. When Hogan turned heel on WCW was incredible. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't know much about the NWO versus WCW thing. Like I know there's a whole Nintendo 64 game on that. By the way, I went to Comic-Con last year and I found WWF No Mercy on the N64. It was like $20. I'm like, I'm going to buy this. And I went and played it on my N64. I was like, what was so great about this game? You know what game is really, really underrated? And listen, I've played the newer wrestling games and they're not good. They are not good at all. But on the PlayStation 2, I think it was WWE at the time. WWE Shut Your Mouth. That was a good game. That was a really good game. You had N64 WCW versus NWO. Yeah, I never played that one. But dude, the Shut Your Mouth graphics, that still looks great for 2025. And there's actual storylines. Whether you win or lose, the storylines advance. Because like some of the other wrestling games I've played, like Day of Reckoning and Raw versus SmackDown, I don't think the storylines will advance unless you win. So you basically have to go undefeated, which is what we're hoping for with the Chiefs, which I don't like. Do I still collect trading cards? I don't. I have, hold on. I have over here. You guys are going to laugh. You guys see these two Jason masks? I got two more extras right here. And then I've got 1990s, 1992 NFL pack, another 1990 NFL pack. One of these has like bubble gum. I actually opened one of the packs because I really wanted to try the bubble gum. And I immediately spit it out in like 5 seconds. If you guys haven't, by the way, because of the question from Rob, go watch the documentary Jack of All Trades. It's by Stu Stone. Stu has done a lot of acting over the years. He's got really underrated music too. He was I don't know if you guys ever watched Magic School Bus. He was the voice of Ralphie in Magic School Bus. So that was like, the biggest thing he did as a childhood actor. But now he's doing like documentaries and everything, and some other behind the scenes stuff. But he has a really interesting documentary on baseball cards called Jack of All Trades. And he actually reunites with his estranged father at documentary. Check it out if you haven't. Jack of All Trades. Do I like Pokemon? Dude, I can only tell you the first 150 Pokemon. I do not know a single thing about Pokemon after. Like, I remember like Johto and all that shit. But after like they said goodbye to Misty, I could not tell you anything. My dad, this was in all these like unopened packs that he's been keeping for a long time. I don't know what to do with them. Do I open these? Do I keep them the way they are? Because some people are like the whole idea that there's value in them if you keep them sealed is a myth. So I don't know. You had a first edition Charizard and it got lost. Oh, dude, I went to Vintage Stock. I had 2 different Charizards. The very first time I ever opened like a pack of Pokemon cards, there was a freaking Charizard in there. And then years later, I got like it was a different kind of Charizard. I went to Vintage Stock and I had like a huge pile of Pokemon cards to see if, they buy them. And like, personally, I was like, the only ones I don't want them to take are the Charizards. And those were the only ones they were willing to buy, which I regret so much selling them. But yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? When I go to Comic-Cons and I see like, I did not know this was a thing. I guess there might be like the same Pokemon card, but like the shadow is a little darker on one of them. And that's why the prices are different. I'm like, I did not think this was a thing. Hulk Hogan made a movie called No Holds Barred. Oh, that one. Okay, I thought that was a wrestling event. Interesting. He picked Topeka, Kansas, of all places, to film. Okay, can someone explain to me, since we're on the topic, can somebody please explain to me what is the weird obsession with Pokemon cards all over again? Because people are literally they're fist fighting in like Costco and Target, and they're having to put limits on these things. I did not know it became a trend all over again. So I've been like trying to ask anyone that I know that's into this stuff, and they don't have like an explanation for this. Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. card was worth a lot, still worth a lot, but the card, it skyrocketed fast. Actually, the documentary I told you about, Jack of All Trades, they jump into the Ken Griffey Jr. stuff. It's actually really fascinating. Guys like me couldn't afford them when they came out. Graded Pokemon is crazy money. Is anyone actually getting rich off of this stuff? Kansas Expo Center in Topeka was a hot spot for WWF back in. What's interesting? Stone Cold Steve Austin, I don't know if he still has this, but he had a show called Straight Up with Steve Austin where he invited celebrities to his ranch. He invited Baker Mayfield and all these other actors. He invited Rob Riggle. And it's pretty cool. Rob Riggle had like a Kansas City shirt when they were hanging out. And Rob Riggle mentioned that they would go to Municipal Auditorium, like old school wrestling shows, and just the amount of fun he had. That was kind of cool story to listen to. I have Whatnot, and they love selling all types of cards on there. Interesting. I think I've heard of Whatnot. See, here's my thing. Like, whenever I go to a convention and meet a celebrity, and listen, I think they demand a shit ton of money for autographs, but you guys have seen my man cave, like, because I know there's this thing that adults who get autographs, they're just trying to sell them. Dude, not me, man. Like, not every adult that gets an autograph is trying to sell it. I know it's a big deal. It always comes up whenever I film Chiefs players signing autographs at training camp. People always are like, let the kids get autographs only. I will say, I think it's a little weird when people get an autograph, they don't even know who they're getting an autograph from. I remember when I was in training camp, somebody had a football and it had like about 4 or 5 signatures on it. And he pointed out a specific signature on his football. He says, I don't know who signed this, but he's in the Chiefs Hall of Fame. And so I'm just kind of like looking over the shoulder of another person just to see like what autograph he's pointing at. And it says D Cherry 20. Obviously, that's our good friend Deron Cherry, who's in the Chiefs Hall of Fame and is doing a lot of great things with the Deron Cherry Foundation. My thing is, if you're ever going to walk up to somebody and ask for an autograph, why would you not know? Listen, I do have a football downstairs from I remember the Chiefs in 2008 in the offseason. They actually did these events where a bunch of players would go and sign autographs after like an OTA practice. I wish they did that more often. But I guess since the Chiefs were not as good back then, it was kind of an easier thing to do. And listen, there were a lot of bad players on that team. A lot of reserves would show up as well. And then you would have a few like highlighted guys like Larry Johnson, Dwayne Bowe. But I always thought it was interesting that people would get autographs, especially from a Hall of Famer, and not know who signed that. Like, come on, man. You're in line to get an autograph from somebody and you don't even know who that somebody is. Like, think about it. You're in line. You're asking for someone to scribble their signature and you don't even know who that is. And if you're a Chiefs fan, you don't know Deron Cherry. Like, maybe you were not born when he played. That's okay. But if you want to be familiar with the history of the organization, and you let alone ask the guy for an autograph, you should know who it is. But that's just me. I read that grading Pokemon at PSA does more business than all 4 major sports combined. I don't think you're lying. I believe that. Whenever I go to conventions, I do see those PSA tables. And there's a fairly decent line for that stuff. Like, for me personally, I don't even know why I would want something like that. Like, how much would they even charge? It's like, wait, you're going to charge me just to say this is an official autograph? I mean, the only value in that is that you resell it one day. Like, not me. Like, this year I met Christopher Lloyd from Jack of All Trades, or not Jack of All Trades. I'm sorry. Back to the Future. And he's done many other things as well. He was also in Angels in the Outfield. I think that's like one of his more underrated projects. And I was watching The Mandalorian this year. I was catching up on that. I was shocked when he was on there. I was like, holy shit. I did not know this guy was part of the Star Wars family, but he is. And like, I don't want that graded so I can resell. I'm keeping that shit. I'm 100% keeping that. Like, think about it. Christopher Lloyd is a legend. Am I going to Planet Comic-Con this year? Probably. I haven't seen the dates for that. I know tickets are on sale. I've seen them announce people already. Probably gonna go. All right. I think we've done enough talking about the Chiefs and WWE and Pokemon and all that good stuff. So we're going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys joining me. Once again, a reminder, Sunday morning, 8 a.m., we're doing our pregame live chat. Then at halftime, around 1:15-ish, we'll be doing our halftime live stream. And then after the game, we'll be doing the Chiefs Zone podcast live. Hopefully, the Chiefs are not eliminated from playoff contention. Hopefully, for that afternoon, we'll talk about it. We'll recap it. All of that good stuff. Also have the link for you guys to call in, so please take advantage of that as well. Call into the show, during our post-game Chiefs Zone podcast. I'm Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me on this Red Friday Q&A live chat. I will talk to you all on Sunday. Peace out.